Hello! Just a quick note before this year in review episode. We really want to thank all of our viewers for making it so much fun to create this show. People often ask us how they can support the show, and really the best way is to support boardgamegeek.com, especially during the site's end of the year support drive.
Yeah, it's really very simple, and you get a neat patron badge for every year you support.
And every 2016 supporter receives a substantial chunk of bonus geek gold that you can use for many things, like customizing your profile with an avatar and micro badges. So please consider supporting boardgamegeek.com and GameNight by following the link below to make your contribution any time of the year.
Thanks for your support and for watching.
Game Night! Tonight on Game Night, something a little different. Nikki, Aaron, Lincoln, Rusty, and myself, Dave, are going to do a year in review, talking about the games we played in 2016, what we liked, what we're looking forward to, and stuff like that there. So come sit at the table with us.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Lincoln.
How was your year?
My year in gaming?
Yeah.
Pretty good. I assume, like the rest of us, we all played a bunch of games in 2016 that were new to us. Not necessarily games that were published in 2016, but games that were new to us that year. We're going to talk about some of those, talk about the games we really liked, games that we're looking forward to perhaps, and let's go across to Aaron and start with him.
All right, I'll start with something we didn't play on the show, and unfortunately we probably can't play on the show. I'm not even a big fan of financial and economic games, but the best one I've ever played, and you guys have to play it, is Ponzi Scheme. Okay. It was published by a Japanese company and barely
TMG.
available last year.
Actually, might have been a Korean company. I'm not sure, but
And then TMG, Tasty Minstrel, just brought it out, so it should be widely available right now. It's a financial game where all of us are in a death spiral towards bankruptcy, and you can only make money by taking out usurious loans that you're going to have to pay back way, way, way more money in a few turns. So it's a game that has genius on two levels. One is that you can never make a profit, you can only forestall the disaster that's coming. And then the second is you acquire like shares in these different industries, and you make secret offers to the other players on acquiring their industries, which are essentially your victory points. The game will end at the point that immediately that someone goes bankrupt. Could be one player, could be 4 or 5 of the 5 of us, and then you total up whoever's left surviving wins, or is in contention for the win. It's a genius game. It's reasonably short, and really like those are the only two things in it. You take loans and you spiral down further to bankruptcy, and you make these amazing secret offers in a little leather wallet that comes in the game. It's a fantastic game. Like I said, I'm not a big economic and financial wizard of games, but it's so fun. I've never seen somebody not enjoy it.
I'd actually heard good things about that game, and I had meant to play it at BGGCon this year, and it just never happened. But that does sound like, when I first heard about it, it sounded like really cool to me, just for that reason. It seemed thematically really neat.
And you also wanted to play it, but
yeah,
why do you think
I
it wouldn't be
witnessed you
good
playing
on
it, and I thought, oh boy, this is not going to work. Just because in the structure of our show, we'd have to do asides, you know what I mean? People would have to go and maybe discuss the deals off camera and stuff like that, which would be awesome. It's just very, very complicated to do, at least for us right now.
There's too much secrecy and hidden
It'd be awesome, though, if we
involved.
could spend a day shooting something like that.
And show the amounts
bring it down
and things,
to bring it down. And you could easily bring it down to 2 hours with all that. You
it's
just
not
have
long,
to you just have to take breaks. You know what I mean? It's just I mean that's
Is
obviously
it that long? Is Ponzi Scheme
No,
It's not.
It's not. But he's talking about with shooting essentially inserts and side deals.
Oh,
You'd be
because
in
it's
another
not
spot.
visually it's
To
Yeah.
give the viewers
It'd be the
information,
discussion with the
yeah.
camera, you know, like you two doing the deal
Right.
with the rest of the people not hearing it. I'm not really certain how you'd even do that, you know.
Right.
But it would be awesome if you could.
Yeah, like I really like Knock Mall is a game that I played this year that I really love. But we played it on the live stream.
Yeah.
But it's tough
It's
to
dry.
shoot because the little boards are the little pieces of paper. It's like quicks in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
just-
so small that it's visually bad for this kind of show.
Yeah.
And if we were to do it, you'd almost want to scan those, print them up on like 8.5 by 11, like
Yeah.
big pieces
Yeah.
of things, so you could see them on there. I mean, there's a lot of games.
Well, Dice Stars, which is one Nikki and I really loved this year, same thing. It's a tiny little sheet.
You would never,
Yeah.
we'd never have enough cameras, but you'd almost need
Absolutely.
like a devoted camera on each person's sheet to see what's
Well,
happening.
Dave's right. If we just printed large ones, we just do 11 by 17s.
Is that one of your choices, Dice Stars?
Dice Stars, I enjoy it very much. It's a lot of fun. It's got that Yahtzee thing, but the way the dice is divided up and
Remaining dice stay in a pool.
Yeah, and it gets a lot more interesting when there are more players. It's a lot of fun with 4+ players. When it's just 2, 3, it's okay, but there's not as much of the crazy dice push and pull that goes on when there's more players in that game.
That's cool.
So
Rusty?
Me? Well, mine is actually one that we've done on the show. It was Port Royal.
Yep.
And that one...
That was new to you this year?
That was new to me this
How
year.
it came out last year, I think.
It came out last year, but it was new to me this year. And then with the expansion that came out this year, adding that to it,
The co-op element is amazing.
the co-op and the ability to play solo also. So when, if I'm off doing work somewhere at a coffee shop or something, I can carry that with me because it's so small and compact. And I can blow through a game or two of that and get that out of my system for the day, even if I've got no one else around. And you get the same feel of that push your luck with that bit of strategy. You're building that little engine that you need, but it doesn't take so long that you can't get through a game quickly and then play another game.
Cool.
Yeah, I really like that game. I think when it first came out, that's one of those games where when you play it, I think we played it 5 times in a row when it first came out because
Well,
it's so fast and quick. And
It was actually another game. It was a previous game, the Handler von der Karabakh.
Oh, was it really?
That was one of the Austrian Game Museum games. And
it
it
was-
was 4-player in the original
it
version.
was Mark Johnson, I think, that brought that game to my attention. And it was me and him and Jeff, and we played it 3 players like 5 times in a row.
Yeah, it's
That was
great.
pretty awesome. What about you?
I really enjoyed Fable Fruit this year, which we've just put out on an episode. We actually played the prototype earlier in the year, and it's the same game. It didn't change really at all, and it's just a great game. I really want to get through more of the
Right.
the
Further
cards.
deeper
Yeah,
in the deck, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we really didn't play a lot of that one, but I really am wanting to play more of that one.
I tried to do that also at BGG Con, and the library copies were never
yeah,
there.
it was gone
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, I
and,
heard that.
and I didn't want to go to the hot games area because I didn't want to start from the beginning.
Right.
I mean, it would be unfair to sit down at that with people who were new players
right.
and not start from the beginning.
Right. But it plays so quickly. You probably
Yeah.
could have gone pretty far with at least your friends, brought forward. But then you're tying the game up.
I think Chris Johnson got the library copy once because he had not played it at all.
Okay.
And ended up playing it back when I was doing something else, so I was not part of that. I had at least 2 or 3 people who were willing to spend 45 minutes to an hour with me and go through
Yeah,
a bunch of levels if possible, but it just never happened.
Right.
So you mostly like about that game the discovery of new actions and new ways to affect the game state, and you want to know what's deeper in the deck?
There's a certain genius to this new branch of games, the originally like the legacy games or the family games or the fabled games.
It's campaign games.
Yeah,
Any of that stuff.
Games that
And
change as you go.
And what's nice about that is it gives you both a new game and an old game. What's nice about Fabled Fruit, which I agree with you on, is that the basic game, while simple, is still fun.
Yeah.
If that basic game felt mechanical and like to me, I wouldn't care about discovering the new cards. But I actually like just the basic gameplay of it. I like trying to collect things and figuring out what's available and the slight strategy of, should I make that smoothie because going to that card also blocks it? Because sometimes you have cards that you can do you can make choices. You can make multiple different things. But also I want to see those new cards. I want to see what the game does.
Yeah, absolutely. The other one that we played, actually Nikki and I played, and I think Aaron played it, was Feast for Odin. You did get to play that one?
No, I've read the rules. I have not played
It's
that.
really great, but it's such a dense game. It's another one that I'm not certain. If we do it, we'll have to probably do it with 3 because
Yeah.
it would be. It's very long, and it's
The track.
a Yeah, exactly. It would be very confusing camera-wise to have that board with all the different positions. I know you were not expressing interest in not playing it.
I know it's a hit. I know it was a big hit when it came out. That I have certainly a handful of people here that love it and have played it multiple times. But I've never played Le Havre. I've never played Ora Labora. I'm not a big fan in general of that Agricola-esque system, even though I know that there are differences between the games. I respect that system. It's just not a thing that it's just not.
This
for me.
is not really like that though. Ultimately, I mean,
system is almost too narrow. It's
Yeah.
just a family of games.
It's
with
a ton of with a lot of
certain
choices
levels of
in it and stuff
complexity.
like It's not really that complex though. That's what's crazy about
Yeah.
that game. You only have so many things you can do. So you're when the other people's turns are happening, you're looking and going, well, I'm going to be. Hopefully, I can go here. Right? You have like the way that you're trying to get your bonuses and stuff like that. And then, of course, the whole element of laying the tiles
Yeah.
to try to conceal things. It's actually, I mean, it's a little puzzle aspect that's really awesome. I mean,
love that
I've
little
not played
Tetris board.
Patchwork, which I believe is the where it's just that interlaying mechanism, which I do want to play because Nikki and I would like to try that one. But it's really great.
Isn't Patchwork a 2-player?
Yes, I know. We will. We'll eventually play it. This is what you see on game night is what we play pretty much. I mean, there's not much more that we get played in. Nick, anything? Rusty?
Feast for Odin, I agree with, was a lot of fun. I really liked all the different boards you could do. I loved that little Tetris element. Of course, I did, right? To the game, and all those choices in front of you are, if you don't know the game, like you've never been explained the game, look daunting. But as soon as it's explained to you, it's not that daunting at all.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much you can do.
Because they're families of choices anyway. So it's like there's a group of things that are related choices.
Okay, I'll play Feast of Odin.
It's really great. It really is
No,
great.
it's fun. I wanted to play it again, play it a longer game of it, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to try to buy some more of that island expansion and stuff, but that was the area of the game I was focusing on.
Right.
Which is not necessarily what everybody would choose to do for that one.
Right.
For a different game, for me to throw in a game, really fun, filler, fast, going back to 2F Spiel, is Fuji Flush.
Yeah.
That one is a lot of fun. And again, it's a lot of fun with more people because it's just this crazy card throwing out thing. Sometimes, if you haven't played it a bunch of times, I've heard comments like, you can only end the game if you've got a high number in your hand and blah, blah, blah.
That's not true,
but
though.
I have played so much that I have seen games end in other ways, and not being able to hold on to the high card and just a running out of cards and all that kind of thing.
The only thing
can
is that's
happen.
frustrating is you want to get those cards in the right order because you want your card.
Right.
You don't want, I mean, your card could be horrible, but you don't want somebody drawing that 20 and you get the 2. You know, that's the other thing. It's actually kind of a little complicated for that in that regard. But I love that game.
It's fun. I enjoyed the art on that one.
Oh, I know. It's
too.
really, really nice.
Yeah.
It was fun watching people discover that game also. I saw like an 8-player version of that game at the convention, and that was really neat. And it really does change, like those 2s and 3s become genuine cards.
I know.
In like an 8-player version.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting.
That was actually something that I saw at the convention,
Yeah.
where I pulled it out and I watched 2 other tables around me pull it out at the exact same time. So multiple tables were playing that game, and everyone was just having a blast with it. And it took a round or 2, and people went, "Oh!" And the lights come on, and when the lights come on, everybody really gets into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Another one that we did this year that we just put out recently was Scythe. Was a game that I didn't get to play. I played it a few times. I've actually played that game more than probably I've played anything else this year, except for like Fuji Flush or something like that. But playing that game, I immediately want to play it again. At first, I was frustrated by the game. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to try this. I want to do that. And since I edited that episode, which was the most complicated episode I've ever edited, and coming into that, I'm like, I'm dying to play that game again because I was thinking more about it. Like I have strategies to beat those riskies that Aaron played. I was like, oh, this is what you do to beat that. I mean, there's actually lots of things. You just have to get into the game and see what those options are.
It gives you I want to play one more time to explore new paths.
And there's they have the 2 expansion with the 2 new factions now.
Is it out?
Yeah, it's out and it fills up those other two
Yeah.
spots on the board.
I definitely go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to throw in there with you wanting to play in this new strategy idea. Are you thinking of that strategy as still playing the same faction,
No.
or are you looking at I want to play other factions,
I
or
wanna
do
play-
you
I,
want to
I definitely want to play other
like
factions.
learn that one faction to
No.
like the
Nah, I don't think that's
absolute?
important.
Okay.
I feel that there's some other choice. There's other choices in that game that we basically kind of came up with in our discussion. You know, that I think is really awesome. You haven't actually played that one yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
gone on
it's a
Scythe
great
yet.
one. What did you play that you enjoyed this year?
Well, another one that I played this year wasn't on the show. Actually, the show got me to it. Welcome to the Dungeon.
Yeah.
It's again one of those small box games that moves quickly, and it's got a little bit of push your luck to it. That I really enjoyed. I almost start telling people, yeah, it's kind of like name that tune a little bit. How many cards do you think you can get into the dungeon, and how many of the tools can you think you can use? How few of the tools to actually win?
Yeah.
And I saw that and was an immediate got to get into that.
Yeah, that's
So,
a great. Were you able to get it? I mean, I know it was kind of hard to get there for a little while.
I was able to pick it up. It was fortunately came back in stock.
Yeah, they had reprinted it because they have the expansion that came out this year as well. Welcome back to the dungeon. It is an expansion, correct?
I like that.
Actually, it's a standalone.
Okay.
It is a separate standalone. It has new characters, new enemies, new.
Yeah, I haven't
new
actually
monsters,
seen it
but-
yet. It was at Essen, but I didn't get a chance to look at it. Anything?
Going back to Scythe, which I enjoyed quite a bit, my favorite heavy game of the year, which was published in 2015, I'm pretty sure, but it was new to me and a lot of people this year, was Food Chain Magnate.
Yeah, I haven't played that
Anybody
yet.
else play that?
No.
I guess I'm the only one. It's a really neat, it's a splatter game, so it's it's fairly long and involved for what I would still call a Euro game. It's a really neat mechanism for building up your fast food business and being able to serve the demands of the households in the neighborhood that you're in. It's got a lot of really neat mechanisms, as well as you hire employees and build your corporate reporting tree of cards and employees in front of you and decide which ones activate and report to your executives that turn. It's got a lot of really neat. It's also available for online play if you want to check it out. I don't know the name of the site, but we'll put it in the comments.
Okay.
And it's a good way to try it out, actually. They like it there.
That's one of the reasons Knockmall is my big hit for the year. Is
How many times have you played Knockmall, Dave?
Over 100.
Wow.
But it's on
man.
Brett Spielwelt, and that's why. And what's great is most of those are two-player games. The interface there is spectacular because the boards are huge. They're just on your screen. Your opponent's board is at the bottom of your screen, where you can see everything. All the dice are just right there to pick and choose, and you can't make any illegal moves because the interface won't let you. So that's how I learned the rules to the game, because there were no English rules to the game. Even at BGG, there were some copies there that had no English rules in them. But I knew how to play just by trial and error when I played it on BGG. It's also a really good two-player game, and it takes 10 minutes
Right.
to play on Brett Spielwelt, 10 or 15 minutes,
It did seem to kind of overstay its welcome. a
Yeah,
little
it
bit
can
in the
drag
real
in
version.
person a little bit.
Just because it's a lot more difficult. You can see where obviously computer interfaces make all that always better. You can see where everything's
I
at.
agree with the little sheets. I played recently No Siesta, which is the Lagrange dice game, and it was really cool. But it had that same thing, which was everybody's check off board thing was this big, and it was really hard for me to look across the table and see where this person was, or where were you on your board versus what should I take, because it's a dice drafting game where you roll dice, and like in Knockmall or any other game like that, part of what you might draft is maybe not your best choice, but just to deny someone that thing is your best move. It's hard to know what you're denying if you cannot read the person's board across the table.
Yeah.
It was just so teeny small. You mentioned heavy games. You know me, I don't tend to favor the heavy games, but I surprised myself this year by really liking Grand Austria Hotel, which I don't know if the heavy game people would categorize that as a heavy game.
I would call it medium to heavy.
But I
Yes.
agree. It was medium to heavy, and that was more fun than I thought it was going to be. And it was that had a lot of very interesting sort of interlocking things, and that had that slight puzzle aspect, plan ahead aspect of trying to figure out the colors you're doing and the people you're hiring. And I don't know. I thought, am I the only one here that's played that?
Yeah, you haven't played it.
I got a chance to play that once.
And what'd you think?
I enjoyed it, but for me it was just a little too heavy. It wasn't bad, but just my first time, I was the only inexperienced player, so I felt a little lost. Everyone else was being able
I could see that.
to take advantage of the experience.
I had the same first experience, but it didn't stop me from really appreciating it and thinking that it could be a really fun game. Again, it wasn't too heavy for me. I would call it medium heavy.
Right.
But I did even though I was last place by a mile, I still enjoyed it and thought it was a really neat system.
It could very easily be one of those games that I play 3 or 4 more times and then that's it. I mean, there were no, I don't know. Let's go around, starting with Nikki.
What were you going to ask? Go ahead.
I was going to say, for me, I found there were no big hits of the year for me. There were games I really liked. Clearly, you have them.
Yeah, there's.
So,
but I was gonna first. Well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, we'll do that. Let's go ahead.
there were a lot of games I really enjoyed, but I don't know. I enjoyed I enjoyed Via Nebula. Was that new this year?
Yes,
I think so.
I actually really enjoyed that, but again, I don't know that I need
it's
to
a
play.
Martin Wallace game too.
I don't know that I need to play it a million more times. Do you know what I mean? I enjoyed. Well, here, let's move to you. What do you have an actual hit for the year?
I have several hits.
Go
so
for it.
asking me that
Give
question
us a
doesn't
big
work.
one.
No, it does. Go ahead and list them all.
Oh man.
You forgot them all. just now?
No, I really enjoyed Mystic Vale. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I want to play it again. I wanted to play it again as soon as we were done with it. That's always a good sign to me when I want to. Want to play it right away.
Yeah.
Because there's something I saw later that's gonna fix it,
Right.
supposedly in my head.
Right.
Let's see.
I think the next version of Mystic Vale could be great.
Yeah.
I think I think the first version we played was really good and kind of proof of concept for that system.
Okay.
But I wanted after my third or fourth play, I was like, okay, I know what this is.
Have you played with any of the expansions though?
No.
I think, as a lot of people have thought, adding new cards makes that game come
Sure, that
alive
makes
quite a bit.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't
I
played.
didn't play it on the show here, but I've played all the expansions since. It definitely opens up a little bit. So I don't disagree with you that a future game using that transparent card building system may be even greater.
Right.
But I think Mystic Vale is actually improving with each card set they add
that's
to it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't played with any, just the vanilla. And then, of course, Scythe, which was already discussed a lot. And at BGG Con, Scott showed us
Insider.
Insider. That was so much fun. I played that so many times. It's a
Kind of a werewolf.
it's
type
a
of
werewolf type of game.
In one of those little
Yep.
Japanese
In
small
one of
boxes,
those little
right?
Japanese, it's a pit. What do you?
Plays better with more.
The
Perfume
publish-
box.
Perfume box.
Yeah, that's what
one
they
of
call
those.
those. Yeah.
By whatever the pig snout logo.
Oink games, yeah.
Oink.
That's right.
One of the Oink games.
Yep.
Of course, I've always drooled over all the design on those. The art is great. But that game was really.
It's
I'd
really
heard
of
great
fun.
stuff about that.
Oh, so you
thing.
didn't actually get to play that one?
No, talk about was so under the radar when I actually heard about that game on Mark Johnson's podcast when he was talking to Greg Pettit, and Greg had mentioned it, and Mark had never heard of it, and Mark had been to Essen this year, and Mark, who loves, they say, deep sea adventure and other games, you think that would be on Mark's radar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like it was like Strike maybe with us, right? Like, how did Strike exist for 2 or 3 years before it ever came to our
Well,
attention?
it's only been out just over a month. I think it was an Essen release.
But the point is, the people who have played it
Yeah.
Yeah.
rate it crazy high, and it seems like, how did someone not go, Dave, you got to play Insider?
Absolutely.
Someone who knows me, especially, right?
I'm shocked. I mean, because we played it a bunch at BGG Con. Did you get to play it, Rusty?
I didn't get to play, but I got to watch
Watch
for a
it,
while. Yeah.
I didn't even heard
And
about
have
it.
you played it?
No, I haven't even heard of it.
It's really cool. So, I mean, you basically just are trying to figure out, it's there's a person that's answering questions. It's 20 questions, essentially, sort of.
I haven't played, but let me try, because I think I know the rules. There's a card that's going to have a word on it, okay? And one person essentially looks at that word, and then the
insider.
insider also gets to know what that word is. but nobody knows who the insider is.
The mechanism to get that word is great, though, because it's a card with like 5 words,
And when
and
you
on the
pull it-
back of the card of the deck is a number. You just pick the.
So you take the top card, and then top of the next card has a number on it, and that tells you which word you use. So everybody closes their eyes, then the insider gets to see the word. So then it becomes 20 questions. So if I've drawn the card, the rest of you guys are now asking me 20
It's not
questions.
really 20 questions.
But the
yes,
object
yeah.
is to guess the answer, and you're asking essentially questions to get
Right.
that answer. The insider knows the answer.
Yeah, so what are they doing?
They're also trying to ask questions to get the answer without giving away that they already know the answer because they're the insider. So you have to gently sort of push people towards the answer because getting when the team gets the answer, that's good for the insider.
Right.
The insider is trying to make sure that the word is guessed without everybody knowing who that person is.
What if they do? What if I, as the insider, am too obvious and give a really obvious
Because you're
clue?
voting, you're
At the
determining
end of the
who
round, you get to vote who you think the insider is.
insider
Okay,
is. Yes.
okay.
And so if they escape, undetected, then they win the game.
But if the word isn't guessed, the insider can't win.
we all lose.
Right. Okay.
Everybody loses, including the insider. So it's really,
Sounds
really
very
spectacular.
cool.
And it's
And it's
5 minutes.
timed.
It's on a 5-minute timer. So
Well-
that the game takes 5 minutes, basically.
Another game that was like that was under the radar for us was Not Alone. It's a
Right.
we did do it on
a
the
live
live stream,
stream, right.
And it's really, really great. It's such a cool, and the more you play it, the more exciting it is. You know, you're like, how you think there's no way I can evade this guy. He's got so much, but it's fun to like fake him out. You know what I mean? Like, and there is ways. You know, you definitely want to keep pulling your cards in as much as you can because the stuff that you've played is visible to the indigenous life form when we're the aliens on the planet.
Yeah,
which I
we're the
keep
aliens.
everybody's we're calling.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're the aliens, but it's really great.
That I agree. Not Alone is a really fun experience that most everybody I know who's played has enjoyed it. It's a one versus many, one person or the other alien team wins.
Right.
My favorite BGG Con game or end of the year game this year was Railroad Revolution.
I
Anybody
heard
played
good
that?
stuff about
Another
that now.
one.
It's
Okay.
another pretty heavy Euro, and it has worker placement and railroad elements without my least favorite part of both of those themes, which is blocking other players. There's your workers are placed mostly on your own tableau, and if you lay rails where I want to go, it doesn't stop me from going there or even increase my cost or anything like that. So it has a lot of options and a real pretty good depth of gameplay without too much frustrating blocking of the other players. I think again, that's a heavier Euro. It's a good 2-hour game, but for people who like that kind of thing, that was my highlight also. What else did you like? Rusty?
This year, First Class. I don't know that it's
Haven't
got.
played it yet, yeah.
I don't know
Never
that it's
heard
got
of
an
it.
Highly
English
recommended
release.
to me.
It's out now.
It is?
Yeah, Hans.
It's very recent.
Z-Man just put it out just
But
at the beginning.
Tell
of
us
the
about it.
But it is. The funny thing is, I've not played Russian Railroads, but everyone who played this game with me
Railroad Revolution.
said,
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
Russian
I shouldn't have
railroads.
interrupted there.
"No, not a problem." But the Russian Railroads, and I've personally not played it, but everyone who sat down and played First Class with me went, "Oh, this is Russian Railroads, the card game." And so it takes about an hour, and you're building 2 different sets of trains where you're adding cars to the train and moving the conductor down, and you're building your railroad so that you can move the train across the railroad, and you're working on earning points in multiple different fashions. And it's a common set of actions that each player gets to take in a set of 18 cards in the middle of the table. And I like the mechanic where actions can disappear when too many actions have been taken out of one of the rows. So you can look at something and start planning and going, oh, I want to pick this up to extend my railroad. And the player before you may pick up something else out of that row, and because they've pulled so many out, the entire row is gone. And now that option is removed from you. So you're having to work on different fashions of your board and different actions to try to build up points in multiple different ways and be prepared that what you're looking to get disappears. So
Oh, so it's like Russian Railroads, the card game.
Is there any other big games that you had? I mean, because another game that I loved, which came out last year but we played this year, was Pandemic Legacy. I think that game is amazing, and it was really fun to play, and it was one of the type of games that encouraged you to keep playing. You really wanted to experience the new stuff happening, and that leads me to anything that you're looking forward to next year. I think Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is coming out that next year. I'm really looking forward to that. we're play testing it, and I didn't want to see anything of it because I really, really want to be surprised by that. And you know that the system's much more developed now. I mean, I know that it's a different game, but is there any other games that you guys are looking forward to that you know of?
I am more still focused on the things I've missed playing this year.
Yeah.
Like Inish, which we may get to do on the show at some point.
We've already done it.
Oh, shoot. I guess I wasn't here that one. I guess you guys did that without me.
Yeah.
So Inish and
it's your kind of game.
I know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Believe me, you
Totally.
canceled that day. That was the
I didn't have any choice.
I know.
I only recently played Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and that's really good.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I think maybe one of the reasons it gets a little short shrift is it just doesn't look great.
Yeah, it looks a little too.
It's perfectly functional, and
Functional.
I totally understand
That's
why.
exactly what it is, yeah.
No, but I understand it. It didn't take anything away from playing it. It just doesn't have that. It doesn't look sexy.
But you don't go ooh when
Yeah.
you see it laid out either. Yeah.
Another one is that Mechs vs. Minions that we gave away on the live stream. We're going to try to do that game, but it's supposed to be great. Scott played it, and it's very quick and really, really fun. So, and it's got a bunch of scenarios, I believe, in it too. So, you know, it seems great
Am I the
and
only,
beautiful too.
Am I the only one at the table that has played Steam Time?
I have not played Steam
Right?
Time.
And I
Yes, you
think
are.
That's Rudiger.
I think
Rudiger Dorn.
yeah. Here's a Rudiger Dorn game that plays in like 45 minutes ish. Was really terrific and just disappeared.
Well, that was last year, and it came out in the States this year, I think.
Yeah, I played it for
Yeah.
the first time this year
Yeah,
in like March or April,
Yeah.
and I played it at least 3 or 4 times. And again, it's like it's weird these games that just sort of come and
Yeah.
and the truth of the matter is, I don't know if I'll play Steam Time again. Partially because I don't even know who owns it.
I mean, what do you think of it? I
and the people who
actually
owns
want to
it.
try to get that one because it is Rudiger Dorn, and I love his stuff.
It's again what I said before. I like it. I'm happy to play it a few more times, but there were no like crazy must-play hits for me this year, and I don't think that's necessarily the games. I think some of that is just me. Like the older I get, I just came around on Macau.
Yeah.
I played Macau this year, having not played Macau in about 4 years maybe, with some people who were like, "Come on, we love it." I'm like, "All right, I'll play Macau." And about half through the game, I was thinking to myself, "This game's really good. Why didn't I go crazy for this the first couple
It
times?"
didn't really hit. I think a lot of people didn't really like
It
you
hit. It hit with the people that I know that play it, right?
Yeah.
It does hit the table a lot for a lot of people, and
Well,
I
it's
think
Stefan Feld. You're
yeah.
around people that really like his games,
but-
and as do I. But
Yeah, I mean, Stefan Feld is no slouch, man. He has a lot of good games.
Let me give you. I'll give you a reevaluated game that I wouldn't say I came around on and I love it, but here's a game you'll like this that I used to really, really, really not like, and even make fun of you for liking it. But in our last play, I came around a little bit on an old classic, Reiner Knizia's Africa.
I love
Oh,
Africa.
wow.
It's so old that people may not know what it is, but
it's
it's
such a good
tile exploring game on the continent of
Yes.
Africa.
So good.
And I really did used to think that it was Candylandish and almost all luck.
Yeah.
And I finally found some depth to it that I had been looking
Yay!
for. in the last
Wow.
play. So that's actually, I think, worth, I mean, it's gone up from I don't want to play that
I
to
understand.
I can see the elements that people
Small
like.
baby steps. Aaron,
Baby steps, yes. But I did some reevaluating of that one. That's a good classic to maybe re-explore.
That's exciting for me because that's on my short list of games.
Games
that,
you will
games that I
always
get
play?
at least one play in every year.
Oh, okay.
Usually only one, like that and
Nice.
Bonanza.
But you usually play that via Skype.
No,
With- I know,
we did that
but
once.
You've done that.
Lincoln
That
is
was
alluding to the fact
hilarious.
that Anthony Rubo and I once played Africa over the phone.
Okay.
And the way we did it was I set up the board and he set up his board,
Uh-huh.
and I was in charge of all the tiles. And in his house in Philadelphia, he had 3 different color cubes for 3 different game sets, right? A space with a face down tile, a
Right.
space with a face up tile, a space that was empty. Or not empty, but a space that had something else that I can't remember. And we just played over the phone.
Wow.
He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna move here." I'm like, "Okay, here's what you turn over." It was fun. We'll probably never do that again, but it was, the experiment alone was worth
It's
it.
a great experiment.
You guys.
Anything that you
You
missed,
would
Nikki?
figure that out.
that you didn't get to play this
I
year?
need
that
to
you
check
were-
my list again.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I played a game called Signore this year. I don't know if it's from this year or from last year, but it's a game no one's even heard of. Like when I mention it, I had not heard of it. It was a friend of ours
who loves the game, and she's like, "Hey, come play this with us." And I sat down. It's not heavy, but it took a while. It took at least 90 minutes, I think, to play our game, and it's got tons and tons of dice rolling, which always sucks me in. And dang, it was really, really good. And yet,
Yeah.
no one I know has it. If I don't ever play it again, that'll be okay. But it was weird because it wasn't, the designers weren't anybody I'd heard of. But, you know, God bless Jana for being an acolyte for that game. I saw her at BGG. Like I don't know if she brought it herself or if it was in the library, but she was making people play it. And, you know, that's kind of what has to happen sometimes. Did you find something?
I did. It's an odd one. And I saw
Bring
it
it.
because I was
Bring it.
editing the Essen videos, so I saw a ton of games at the end of the year. But it is from Blue Orange, and it's called Captive. And it's a single-player game, and it's a graphic novel. And you explore this graphic novel, and
Choose your own adventure,
it's
sort of.
sort of a choose-your-own adventure. There are clues in the pictures. You have to figure out riddles and things. You have a character sheet that's all your own with your gear and all this stuff. And it's a little hardcover graphic novel. And I don't know. It just seemed so intriguing to me.
Yeah,
I
it sounds
really
amazing.
want to
It
do
does
that.
sound I wanna check it out.
And
So
that
it's
one's
not in the States yet, though. That is Blue Orange in Europe, so yeah.
And that's the more
It is an
adult
English
one. And they have another one that's called Night or Nights, and it's the same idea, but it's for
More
you.
family
I could
friendly.
play it, but
Yeah.
it's for a younger audience. Captive looks a little darker. This one's a little more light, adventure-y looking.
That
I
sounds
don't
great.
know
That
what
sounds like-
mechanics overlap from each of the books, and I know when I was looking at the Essen video of it, I hope it takes off because they were planning on doing more, adding more to the line of these books.
Just not releasing
But,
in the States is crazy. you know?
yeah, I don't know. It's in English too.
I know.
I have a
interesting.
copy. I want to do it.
Right.
It's, I'm going to do it this year at some point.
Game that won me over that I didn't think I would like, probably Asking for Troibles. That was one, yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Come again, sir?
Kraken Games.
You're making stuff up.
I'm not making stuff up now. Kraken Games released this great up to 8-player
Yes,
game
he
where
said Kraken and release. Same thing. Go ahead. Go ahead. We'll let that go.
this great
you
game.
won't.
It's the board is almost completely orange, and you've got these wonderful spaceship figures that you're moving from planet to planet to collect resources so that you can buy other items. And
So why didn't you think you'd be interested in it?
well, it didn't. It looked a little just too basic, pickup and delivery without a lot there. It was just very simplistic in my mind. But once I started to play it, the amount of flavor they put into this,
That's
the
awesome.
depth, the humor, that sci-fi fans could just see where this character's from that, and the text that they put on these cards was great, and it just made the game a lot of fun. So you were enjoying being that Planet Express delivery ship from Futurama,
Okay,
but
great.
not really. And the fact that everything was orange. The whole game was just orange. If you've seen this board, it's just you flip it out and it's orange everywhere.
That's cool.
So I looked at that and I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know. It looks a little dull to me. And after the first play, it was like, yeah, no, I really like this. And everyone that played it with it, yeah, I need to get a copy of that.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
So I really, the one that I would love to play, but we just haven't had the time. We've actually discussed playing it as a group. Is Seafall, and it obviously involves play. Like getting together and doing it. But it seems like a creative game because you are naming elements and doing. It's like all this stuff. I know nothing about it other than I've heard a little bit about it. And again, it's a legacy system. It's the first one that Rob Davia was doing after
On his own.
he did Risk Legacy. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say on his own after.
Yeah. It was the first one he was started, but he didn't get it done
Right.
until after Pandemic Legacy came out. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is, which I started, but is things that you're looking forward to. I mentioned Pandemic Legacy Season 2. Is there anything that I know I have a few things I'm looking forward to.
I'm not familiar enough with the schedule.
I kind of
to
stopped
know.
following
I know there's
the
one.
buzz
I know there's one that you're going to like.
that I will love.
That you've already played the prototype, and I know that the game will be different. But Mountains of Madness comes out this year.
yeah.
from
It does?
WW.
Oh
Yes.
my god.
That's
really
a yellow
fun.
coming out. I think Essen or Gen Con this year.
You
are going to
Yes.
love
love
that game.
game.
It's
Yeah.
you're basically a team scaling this mountain, trying to get artifacts, and as you go, you become insane. Events
Yeah.
happen that you become insane.
Let me don't
Yeah,
don't,
okay.
don't give anything away.
Okay.
Suffice to say, was that Rob Davio as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
He figured out a way to build insanity into the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that it's sort
wow.
of organic. And I think
Yeah.
to say more would
We'll
be
spoil
would be a
yeah.
disservice to the game. But suffice to say, it was a pretty cool experience.
Okay. I mean, I didn't need that much convincing to
And
go
I played the
try it
prototype.
anyway.
I have
but-
to assume that whatever version's coming out is
It's
even more
It's
refined
yeah,
and
and
better.
it's going to be a yellow too, so it's going
Yeah.
to be gorgeous and everything
Cool.
else. I know you have something.
I
that you're
do,
excited
but I
about.
wanted to say that the frustration of the crazy that happens in that
it's so
game
good.
is awesome. I mean, you just get so frustrated with your fellow. Oh, it's great.
It's a board game that somehow manages to be, if this is a thing, like an anti-party game, if that makes any sense, which it shouldn't, because it's crazy.
I want to know what that means.
yeah,
But
yeah.
So I think this one is going to be.
It's a yellow as well.
It's a
You're
yellow.
talking about the Bruno Catala
Yeah.
game, yeah.
He was looking for another game, but we name, but we
Yeah,
played
sadly. It's
the
called Colony.
prototype of it called Colony, but it's an ant colony.
okay.
So it's different, and it's a maze thing, and there's points for how you build your ant colony, and the mazes.
It's again a tile laying game that Shinki
Yeah.
loves, but you're building an ant hill that connects tunnels, and you're trying to get like candy and the queen connected, and it's
And you
such
can't
a
have two
fun-
queens in one connecting tunnel.
So you only
and-
have two placement positions because you're building off of existing cards. So it's either on either side of your first card, or you know what I mean. So you
Right.
really only have a couple choices, and you only have a choice of like 4 tiles. They're little like semi-triangular shaped tiles, right? That you put around it. It's really really fun.
I don't know if we found another name yet, though.
No,
but-
yeah, he had said he had a real hard time with that.
do you have a forthcoming game that you look
I have a game that I don't know that it's been released in the U.S. yet, but I got to be able to play at BGG-Con, and it's called Dokmus, D-O-K-M-U-S.
You are again making these things up.
I'm not.
Okay.
It's this great 8-tile game where you are trying to get your settlements on all of the tiles and trying to get into certain temples. And the problem here is that other players are trying to do the same thing, and yet they can move the board around. And you can move the board around, and you can rotate each of these tiles. So all of your pieces shift around, and where you may have been connected before from one tile to another, now you no longer are.
Oh,
That's neat.
And it's 6 or 7 rounds, and the game is done. And it's amazing how fast you can spread, but at the same time you feel like you're not moving. And it's quick. I only got to play it once, and I'm really looking forward to being able to get a copy sometime to be able to play it again with others. So
The other one that I was thinking of is it's Queen Games, which we have the inside word on that, and we talked to Mike Elliott. He was very excited about it, talking to us about it.
yeah.
It's War Eternal, and it takes the Shogun Wallenstein mechanism.
The tower.
Yep, the whole thing. It's a battle, right? But you have factions fighting, and there's people die and they come back in. It's a fantasy-based game, and so it's Mike Elliott and Dirk Henn designed it. And it sounds great. Haven't seen anything. I've heard the art looks great. I've seen nothing,
Yeah.
and I'm very excited. I thought it was going to be a Nuremberg release, but I think it's pre-release at the Dice Tower Con, and so Gen Con release essentially, and it sounds spectacular. I'm really really excited. So the way I want to wrap this up though is, does anybody have a favorite episode that we play that we played this year? So I mean, I know which mine will be. That is
Oh,
Leo
boy.
Goes to the Barber. Was an absolute
yeah.
blast.
That was a lot of
and
fun.
had so much fun with the anti-Aaron strategy, which was amazing. It was so great. He was so wrong. I mean, we were all wrong, but he was really wrong all the time. He's like, I'm positive, and it was absolutely. If there were 2 choices and he chose one, you picked the other one, and you were always
You're
right.
golden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
I can't imagine that wouldn't be mine as well.
I would say either Scythe or Codenames, which is, clearly a game that is going to last for a long time and have lots of different versions. And, I clearly won the big award, which I think was well deserved. But those are probably my 2 favorite episodes.
My memory's bad.
Yeah.
they're all fun. So
It's kind of true. Liquid Art was fun. I like Junk Art. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Junk Art's awesome. I mean, it
Yeah.
hasn't come up yet, but
Yeah.
that's one we filmed.
It's not.
Then never,
Yeah.
then
That's
never mind.
fine.
Then never
yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Spoiler, man.
I was
now I know
about to
what's
say,
coming up.
hey, wait, that one isn't.
Dave never knows what we've done. He sees stuff and he's like, "Oh, we played that game,"
In preparation for this episode, I actually looked at my list of all the new games that were new to me this year. And there's at least a third of those games that I see the titles and I go, what is this? Did I play that? They all have one play, right? That I played. It was a new game. Clearly made no impression on me. I'm like, I don't know what this is. And some of those I could see again and go, oh yeah, that, if I physically saw them. But part of it is, I think I almost feel like if we do this again next year, I almost feel like what we should do as one of the segments of this episode is go X number of years back, like 10 years back or 5 years back from whatever that year is. So, and then find the 1 or 2 games from that year that we still like.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I find the
yeah.
older I get, the more I'm interested in just the stuff I like. The less I'm interested
the
in
new
whatever the
stuff.
new stuff is, even though, of course, I played at least 100 new games this year. It's not that I'm not interested in playing a lot of the new stuff, right? I'm happy to sit down and do it. It's just, it's the same reason that I don't have an answer for you as to what I'm looking forward to next year. I don't follow that game news anymore.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm just letting
That's
stuff,
why I said if it was something
I
you
played
pay
so
attention.
many games now. I just
Right.
let sort of stuff wash over me. It's almost like I need to wait a year to see what sticks out from the previous year.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of games that I play the first time that I really like immediately.
Right.
Because it's just a fun new game experience and it's a neat system. We didn't talk about it, but one of the hits of BGG was Dream Home,
Yeah.
right? And we have not played that yet. I think Dream Home is a really good, really solid game. I don't know that it ultimately has, for lack of a better term, any depth to it. And by my 3rd or 4th play, I could see, unless expansion cards come out for it, I would sit down with anyone if they wanted to play Dream Home because it's fast, like a half hour, and it's easy enough. But it's good, but then it's
That's
gone.
kind of the reaction Nikki had to it as well.
Yeah.
'Cause
But that
it's
doesn't
the
mean
kind
it's
of
not.
game she
But that
likes.
doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's a bad game by
Absolutely.
any means.
But you don't
Absolutely.
feel it's not going to have staying power and be in your go-to games 10 years from now.
No,
right?
but you know what? It would be good. It would be a great game to buy at Target. I mean, it would be a great game for people who are not hardcore gamers buying a game because
Yeah.
it's really simple. The graphics are cool. The idea behind it is easy to grasp. It's it has that sort of big city aspect of it of trying to build things next to each other is better, and it is really cool. And the simplicity of just drafting the cards was really great. But that's like 100 other games to me now.
Yeah.
That are that same thing.
Nikki, did you have a favorite episode this year?
Only because it's an older game that they got republished and I really enjoy it, and I feel a game that everyone should have is this new Circus Focati.
Yeah.
Some people are
Absolutely.
disturbed by the new artwork. I don't have a problem with it. The game is there still.
Yeah, it's a great
and
game.
it is a great
Such a
game.
good game.
And that is just
Well, we played it like every live stream. I think we end up playing that game.
I'm sure.
yeah.
And you
It's
know,
a great go-to.
and you
great
gave me a
filler.
copy.
Yeah, we
also.
came back.
It's just-
I bought another used copy of the original version, and I brought it back home, and we played it, taught it to Rusty, and he loved it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
here, take it.
Yeah.
And then I was at the BG Con, bought another used copy, and Aaron's like, not Aaron, Adam Kunstmiller was like, oh, I wanted to get that one. I'm like, here you go. You know, what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
that's why I'm buying them anyway. It's just hilarious that I'm finding somebody to give it to instantly. You know?
yeah.
It really helps that Stephanie's group loves that game, and I think she had known about it. I don't think it was strange to her, but it was one of those games that didn't get a lot of rotation or play, and then like a renaissance. And I don't think just because of the new edition, but I managed because of that. I played that game 25 times this year. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that's saying a lot, right? Because most of my big plays are because they're on Brett Spielwell. This like to actually have a live face-to-face game.
Well, we've probably played that one at least 10 or 15 this year because we definitely love it. And we played with Rusty a couple times.
It's our 3-player. We love it 3-player. It's our like 3-player choice go-to when we want to play 3-player.
Does anybody else play like I do, where it's just 7 after 7 after 7?
It's a
You're
good
saying
strategy.
somebody, right? Nathan?
Sometimes when we do that, we only do it as referring to, well, I'm going to try to do a Lincoln. It's always a Lincoln.
it's a Lincoln.
It's
yeah.
always a Lincoln. We're like, I'm just going to turn over a 7.
Yeah.
And Rusty, what was your favorite episode?
I actually came up with one. Now that I had to think about it, but it was Carnival Zombie.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was
Oh,
just
yeah.
that was one of those
Man.
games where we're sitting here. I was like, no, it's never going to happen, and we were just astonished the entire game, and it was so much fun. We just fell into the game. It became a life of its own, and it wasn't something that I was, I
Even
knew
thought
much
you'd
about.
enjoy, yeah.
But it was just like
That-
it drew you in.
Aaron didn't
Yeah.
get to play that, but man, the crypt, the cubes on the crypt thing is so great.
Yeah.
The tension from that is hilarious, and then you give the guy who's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And shaking.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just so funny. It's such a good game.
Here, let me drop it
It's
from
still
here.
not been the second edition still hasn't happened. It's now a year after Essen this year. That's more than a year, and
Yeah.
I know they're probably working on miniatures and stuff. But gosh, I wish it'd come out because everybody was
Yeah.
asking and frustrated about that when we did the show.
That's one of those games that I actually like. I think being part of Game Night in a way, because there's a game I would never play normally, probably, if we weren't doing an episode of it.
Right. Well, we had Matthew too. He's the best.
Oh, yeah.
No, 100%. But if I
Matthew
saw that game,
expansion.
They think he's Aaron's brother. Somebody's like, is Matthew Aaron's brother?
if I walked by that game on a table somewhere, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to play that. But that tension of that adds so much fun to that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. It's such a great little element. I cannot believe somebody hasn't stolen that and put it in another game because it's just really fun. But it's thematically tied into the game too, right? It's you're dumping bodies, and if they fall off the crypt, they go back into the game.
It's like a little weird dexterity portion of it.
Oh, wow.
And all you're doing is, in many cases, you're dropping a cube
No,
from like...
multiple. However many you kill, you have to drop.
But you're dropping it like from here to here.
Yeah, you can drop it as super as close as
you're
you
doing
want.
nothing. It's like in Strike where I throw a die and I fall short of the arena. Do you know what I mean? Like that's possible.
Right, it shouldn't have been that hard. at
No,
all.
and it's
Yeah.
hilarious when it happens. It's horrible because it's a co-op. It's horrible when it happens, but at the same time, it's too funny.
Wow.
Your top play game besides that, your in real life game has got to be Strike, right?
No, my top played game is Raw the Dice game, which I have
In
played
real life?
like 80-something plays of
No,
it
I mean this year.
Yeah, this
Really?
year. Yeah.
Holy cow!
Because that's another one of those.
I don't even have that game.
That's another one of those. Me and Stephanie 2-player, or me and Stephanie a 3rd player, and we love it. Another one of those Renaissance games, because I remember when that game came out, it did not get a lot of love. Even from me, I didn't dislike it when it came out, but it was just like, okay. But we have come around on it full circle. And luckily, Stephanie was smart enough to get a copy like 3 or 4 years ago, because it's out of print and it's not cheap.
Yeah.
She got one at a decent price and has gotten, even if she paid full crazy price for it now, she would have gotten full value out of that game.
Yeah,
She's probably
80
played it
plays.
like 100 plus times.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for talking about this, guys. This
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.